Most gracious and wonderful Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this little slice of heaven that we call the Texas Hill Country. We thank you that we live in a time and a place where we can unashamedly sing your praises and pray to you. And we don't take that for granted. Lord, I ask that you bless everyone in this room tonight, but especially the candidates, as they are risking reputation, sleep, ego, maybe friends, to serve you and to serve your people. Keep them, Lord, and all of us mindful that everything we say and do, if not to your glory, we labor in vain. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Amen.
All right, this time, Crystal Smith, who's the president of the Republican Women of Kerr County, will lead us in the pledges.
The pledge to the greatest nation in the world. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the greatest state in the nation.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Still don't know that.
Nobody knows. I'm still working on that one.
Thank you, Crystal Smith and Frank. Appreciate y'all for doing that. So I'd like to first talk about what the purpose of this forum is. I did have to put my reading glasses on because I'm over 40 now. All right, let's see here. Okay, personally, I really do love forums. Some of y'all have heard I'm a career candidate before, but I really do love forums. This is a chance for you as an audience to get to really understand the reps a lot better, because you're going to get a lot of campaign material and stuff like that, but this is a chance to have one-on-one questions with them and to get to hear how they're going to answer our questions. Your time is valuable. Many of you know sometimes forums can drag on for a long time. We want to make sure that you're able to get home at a decent time tonight, so we're going to do our best to have a timer set. If you hear that go off, that means it's time for me to wrap it up so that y'all can start getting home too. Now you may be wondering how we devise the questions for tonight's forum. In order to ensure integrity and trust in the process, the questions are only known by me. That means you can get mad at me too. I'm the only one to blame for it. And no one else knows what questions I will ask tonight. No question has intentionally been written to favor one candidate over another. I did ask some folks to send me some questions if they had some ideas, so we wanted to make sure that we didn't forget anything. One of the challenges is we're going to have a lot of people, which is awesome. This is 10 of your 13 candidates showed up tonight, so thank you guys for y'all showing up. But when you think about this, when each one of them gets 2 minutes, it is going to take a little while to get a lot of questions in, so we're going to do our best to go through that, but each candidate does have a full 2 minutes. And we're also going to have two designated timekeepers. We have Cheryl Scott and Marilyn Respondic. I got that right. And so they are very much assured to cut them off and drag them off if we have to. But anyways, there won't be like a warning for them. There's just going to be when they hit the 2 minutes, the red pen, what do you call it, paddle will go up, and they will know that it's time to get down and let the next person get up and speak. Next up, after all the candidates answer a question, we'll start with different candidates, so that way we're not doing the same order over and over again. So I have the luxury of picking that order that we'll go in, and so we'll do that. And candidates, this is another rule. And we're all Republicans, so we wouldn't break any of these rules, right? Yeah. But candidates must not look at their phones, smartwatches, smart glasses, or utilize an earpiece. Now, none of us would do that. And the only exception is if you have a hearing aid, but you must not have any outside assistance through that hearing aid. And so, believe it, I've been in a lot of forums and I've seen all kinds of crazy things. So anyways, the audience, this is important. You'll go to a lot of forums and they ask you to not clap or anything like that. I'm the exact opposite of that. If you like what a candidate says, let them know you liked it. So don't be afraid to clap or say anything. Just don't shout any vulgarities. And I'll actually cover that in the next roll. All right, for the candidates, let's do our best to keep it clean. No biting, no vulgarity, and no eye gouging. And the same goes for the audience. So, some of the candidates asked about some other things. I'm just not going to say them. So, but. Okay, next we're going to start with introductions. We're actually going to start with Jason Cahill. Jason will get 2 minutes, and when he's done, we'll hand the mic off to the next one. We'll just go all the way down the line for this first one. Jason, give us your introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, there we go. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jason Cahill. Thank you for coming. I'm a veteran. I'm a CEO of an oil and gas exploration company I built from the ground up. I'm a father of 4 young children. And those 4 young children are the reason why I'm standing in front of you here tonight. See, they didn't get to pick their father like the rest of us. We didn't get to pick our parents. They don't get to pick the life that they grow into or how they're raised. But as a father, I get a say in their future. And I don't like the way that future looks for them. With crippling debt, 38 trillion in debt, we're having to have conversations about a boy using a girl's bathroom. You ever notice it's always the boys that want to go to the girls' bathroom? I've never seen a woman want to go into a boy's bathroom, right? Because you know, when we go in there, it's like we're painting a Jackson Pollock, right? You girls, you know, the boy moms. I'm here also because I'm not a politician. I've been a politician now for 113 days. And it sounded a lot better when I was still in the double digits, I must admit. When I get to the 1,000 mark, it's not going to be as good. But I'm tired of seeing all the political signs. I'm tired of seeing all the same old upstarts saying that they're going to fight for you when they've never done it. I did. I deployed with the 1st Battle Group in response when the towers came in. I was there day 1 for Iraq. I was there day 1 for Afghanistan. And I went back as a CIA contractor, DI as a civilian. I made the active choice to go back to a war zone because it was the right thing to do. When I came home, I built an oil and gas exploration company from the ground up. And I did that without ever getting a single business line of credit. Think about that. I built an exploration company from the ground up without ever going into debt. Imagine what I could do for you in Washington. My name is Jason Cahill, and my platform is honesty and truth. You ask me a question, I will answer it. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Teixeira. All my friends call me Tex, so that's what's on my hat right now. Listen, I love being in Kerrville. It is such an amazing community. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is really important. Listen, I've lived a blessed life. God gave me the ability to play Major League Baseball. I played baseball for 14 years. I've been in the business community since then, giving back to different nonprofits, different charities, investing in people. I love investing in people. I love investing in America. I've been blessed with an amazing wife. She's the most wonderful woman in the world. We've been married 23 years. We've been together since I was 19 years old. We were freshmen in college. I looked across the room about this size and I said, I'm marrying that girl. God has given me so much. And I truly believe God puts all of us where He wants us. I truly believe that all of us are called to service, and I believe I have an opportunity to serve you well. You deserve a member of Congress that is there to be there to fight for you, to serve you, not serve their special interests, their own interests. Way too many bureaucrats and congressmen in Washington, D.C. are using the system to their advantage, not going to Washington, D.C. to work for you. And so because of my platform of giving the power back to you, of small government, of growing the economy, of shrinking taxes, of securing the border, protecting life, and the Second Amendment. That platform, as well as giving the power back to you at the local level. You know how to run your lives. The government shouldn't tell you how to run your lives. The government shouldn't tell you how to run Kerrville or the state of Texas. We live in the greatest state in the nation, and we're going to keep it that way. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great night.
Good evening, Jacques DuBose. I'm a Navy veteran, native Texan. Did a 20-year Navy career, and when I finished my Navy career, I moved back to the greatest state ever and into the greatest district. I know a lot of y'all because I was executive director for American Red Cross here in Kerrville. Been in some of your homes where we installed smoke alarms, Make sure you change those batteries out. It's very important, so they save lives. But anyway, it's great to see so many friendly faces. I was in the new Rotary here in Kerrville as well. So it's good to see so many friendly faces. I'm running because I want to make a difference. I've been to DC. I've taken veterans there to advocate for veterans issues. Was fortunate enough when I worked with Wounded Warrior Project to help get legislation passed with other organizations that improve the lives of veterans, their families, and their caregivers. There's still a huge crisis in the veteran space. We lose 20 veterans a day to suicide. There's a lot of issues with getting access to care. I think our nation is facing a mental health crisis, so we need to have access for everybody. I want to have a smaller government, a government that empowers you. I'm running a small grassroots campaign. Want to make a difference and serve you. I'm very accessible. I served on city council for 6 years, was mayor pro tem for 2 years. I was in Bernie, Texas. But I have served this community as well. Several of the hill country areas I served when I was at Red Cross. So I'm very accessible, very approachable, want to make a difference. I think navigating DC, I've been up there and I've done it as an advocate. I've also set up congressional roundtables throughout the West when I was with Wounded Warrior Project to have an opportunity for people to meet with their elected officials in the district when they came back to district. So I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed working in DC and making a difference. I want to see us do it with a smaller government where the people are empowered and keep our military strong. I also want to see the deadly fentanyl crisis that's happening, that's flowing across the border. It's personal to me. It's still happening. They're getting drug boats, things are happening, but I want to see that come to an end. Thank you.
Howdy, my name is Daniel Betts. I remember exactly where I was when the July 4th floods hit. I had been involved in a car accident that morning, roads had washed out, and when I got home that evening and I was able to kiss my wife and my 3 beautiful boys goodnight, turn on the news, I discovered that not everyone else was going to be so lucky. Over 135 lives were lost that day. Help came too little, too late, and I remember thinking that there are real consequences when legislators fail to prioritize the needs of the people that they represent. Sometimes deadly consequences. That moment changed me. It reminded me that public service isn't about talking points. It's about showing up for people when it matters most. I have one goal tonight, and it is to prove to you that not only is my agenda America first, but that I will execute it while putting Texans first. And if you believe in that mission, I'm asking for your support, for your trust, and for your vote. My name is Daniel Betts, and this story is just one of many that has inspired me as a resident of this district to run to be our next representative. When I'm standing in the halls of Congress, I will fight for you every single day to make sure that the needs of Texans are heard and met. President Trump has seen win after win. His America First agenda is working, and the American people can feel it. And as a father of 3 young boys whose future depends on the success of that agenda, you will have no stronger champion in Congress than me, and President Trump will have no greater ally. As a trial attorney myself, I am used to the fight. We will secure our border to stop the flow of drugs and violence. We will dismantle the institution of abortion by eliminating its incentives. We will restore American energy dominance and stabilize our grid safely, and we will stand firm in trade, showing the world that America will never again be taken advantage of. That is the America that I want to raise my boys in. That is the America that I remember, that is the America that I will fight for, and that is the America, the American dream. So tonight, I'm asking you to take a bet on Daniel Betts, because I promise you, it'll pay out big. Thank you.
Howdy y'all, my name is Zeke Enriquez. I'm a husband, a father, a Christian conservative, and I'm running for Texas 21 to represent you in Congress. Like Ms. Helen said, Chip Roy's leaving us and leaving really big boots to fill. I believe I am the most conservative candidate here, ready to step up and fill those boots. A little about myself, Texas 21 isn't just a district for me, it's home. My roots here go back 7 generations. My 7th great grandmother settled in Fredericksburg. My 3rd great uncle was Polycarpo Rodriguez, who built Polly's Chapel down in the Poly Peaks area. So it's home. I've been married 15 years to my beautiful wife back there. We are raising 2 children in Bandera and love it there. After high school, I joined the United States Marine Corps. as a heavy machine gunner. I did one tour to Iraq. For my heroic actions, I was awarded the Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal with the V device for combat valor. After I hung up that uniform, I didn't stop serving. I became a firefighter. I've been a firefighter the last 11 years, serving 5 with Klein Fire northwest side of Houston, and I'm going on my 6th year with Bandera Fire down in Bandera. We're also, we run a little ranch down there, so we run cattle, goats, pigs, chickens, little 9 yards. And I think that's enough for the resume, so I'll tell you what I'll do for you. I think the #1 priority for your next congressman is to codify President Trump's executive orders. Because if we don't get a follow-up president like J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, whatever lefty gets in there can just wipe all that work away with the swipe of a pen, and we can't let that happen. #2, Chip Roy's leading legislation on the table that I'd like to pick up and run with. Some examples of that are his SAVE Act, and I know it's passed the House, but it's stalled out in the Senate, for election integrity, his push to ban congressional stock trading so politicians stop lining their pockets at your expense, and his fight against Sharia. You see what's going on in Dallas and Minnesota, all across this country, even San Antonio. We've got to stop that, and I will fight to do that. God bless y'all, God bless Texas, God bless America.
I remember in 2020, I was walking the hospital wall floor, and under the Biden administration disastrous regulation that came, there were patients that were dying alone due to COVID. And the overregulation, overburden of the federal government and what it did to the American people. My name is Kyle Sinclair. I'm a healthcare executive. I have a bachelor's and master's in health administration, been in healthcare for 20 years. I've led hospitals and organizations. I know what it means when policies don't make sense. It actually kills lives. So I bring experience to the table. I'm an Army veteran. How many veterans are out here? Show of hand. Thank you for you guys' service. I was in the Medical Service Corps. Thank you very much for the service. Medical Service Corps fought for our nation. I'm grateful for what we've done for this country. I keep saying President Trump is the greatest president the United States has ever seen, and that because of President Trump, strength through peace, we are able to do exactly what he's doing. I have a blended family of 8 children. Yes, I said 8. It's a big, organized, disorganized family. We appreciate it. I love it. We've been part of the community, and we have continued to fight for this stuff. Prior to running for Congress, I was the vice chair of the Republican Party of Kerr County. A lot of people don't realize Texas 21 covers 21% of Kerr County. It's huge, 338,000 constituents. It's a big part. I'm the only only candidate running in Kerr County right now. What I promise to the Hill Country is I've been part of it. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. We just went through the deadliest flood in Texas history. My question is, what did they do? On day 3, I joined a veteran group, chainsaw crew, cadaver dog team, and did search and recovery. That's what I did. Serve the people, from the people, for the people. And that's what I stand for. Unapologetic, America first. And we'll get through a bunch of topics. Kyle Sinclair running for U.S. Congress. Thank you so much.
Well, hey guys, I'm Weston Martinez. God bless you guys. I'm pro-life, pro-gun, pro-family, pro-Israel. Most importantly, I'm pro-Texas. And this isn't just a campaign stop for me. This is home. Do me a favor. Raise your hands if you live in District 21. You notice people behind me that aren't raising their hands? Folks, the majority of Texans will not vote for somebody that doesn't live in the district. Guess what? Check out and see if they even protested their property taxes. I did, and I won. Why? Because I know that government goes to those who show up. And if you weren't here when we were fighting things 7, 8 years ago, when they were trying to force us to put masks on us, when they were trying to pass radical bills in the Texas legislature, or like in San Antonio, which is still Kerr County where I'm from, and I've lived in that district, in the new district, 40 years, in the old district, 28 years. And ladies and gentlemen, when we look at what's taking place, we have the radicalized, coordinated effort of all of those liberals that want to come and take Texas down, because they know there's only one way you can stop America, and that's to stop Texas. Folks, I am Texas first, because that's how you make America first. And it's not because I am looking for your vote. You know what? When I wasn't asking for your vote, I was down on the border helping to run Al Sharpton off the border. I told Al, I said, Al, how come you weren't down here when it was brown kids, buddy? And where's your extortionist friend Jesse Jackson, the Rainbow Push Coalition? Yeah, he didn't want to answer that at all. When we had voter fraud going on in San Antonio, I worked with Project Veritas and James O'Keefe to get the lady arrested, made national news for voter fraud. Folks, if you look at everything we're talking about, if we don't secure our elections, we're never going to secure our border. And if you weren't fighting for it then, and if you weren't fighting to close the primaries and go to absolute secure paper ballot methods, folks, you're not going to help us. You're going to hurt us. There's a reason why Matt Long is endorsing me to support this district for District 21. There's a reason why Ted Nugent is endorsing me to be the congressman for District 21. It's not because I'm the prettiest. But I did run out of time. Weston Martinez, WestonForTexas.com. God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I'm Paul Rojas. A little bit about myself. Been married to my wife for going on 10 years. We have one daughter. She's 8. I grew up on the south side of San Antonio. Born and raised, my family goes back at least 6 generations. A couple things about me. I'm an engineer, I'm a firearms manufacturer, so pro-gun is a way of life for me. I have to fight the ATF on a daily basis, and I understand what that means when it hits the consumer, which is y'all. Another couple things about myself. Worked for Microsoft, worked for Cisco. So when they talk about AI, they talk about H-1Bs, I've lived it, I've fought it, I've seen how it's screwing over our youth, and being the youngest one in the candidates, I know what the future lays in front of us. A couple things came out last night. Following in President Trump's footsteps, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, which is a union in San Antonio, endorsed me, the first Republican in the country in 130 years. That says something. Second endorsement, the Republican Liberty Caucus looked at the field and they said, we don't want stale candidates. We want someone, and my campaign slogan is break the cycle. We need to break the cycle of career politicians. We need to break the cycle of lawyers, and we need to break the cycle of government and politics as is. Thank you. Rojas for Texas.
Howdy everyone, my name is Trey Traynor, and I'm one of the candidates here for Congressional District 21. I told my youngest son, who is 12 years old, that I would say this because it was very important to him when he found out I was coming to Kerrville. He wanted me to say that I am the only candidate who has a son who is the mutton-busting champion of the Kerrville Rodeo in 2023. So, I've taken care of that. There you go, Andrew. So, I've spent the past 5.5 years in Washington, D.C. as President Trump's appointee on the Federal Election Commission, where I was confirmed by the Senate. The President appointed me there in 2017. Between 2017 and 2020, Senator Schumer blocked my nomination to the Federal Election Commission because he knew that he did not want somebody as pro-MAGA as me on the Federal Election Commission. In 2017, I went to work for the President over at the Pentagon. I was there for 3 months, took the oath of office 4 days after President Trump was sworn in, did a lot of great work for him there. 2016, I worked for the President as legal counsel at the convention in Cleveland. I was counsel to the platform committee, and I helped out with the recount in Michigan that year. So I have a lot of experience working with this president. In fact, I'm the only candidate up here who's worked with President Trump since 2016 straight through. I have sat in the Oval Office with the President, I've had conversations with the President, and I am committed to supporting his agenda. I have voted over 45 times in favor of President Trump on the Federal Election Commission when the left launched lawfare against him at the Federal Election Commission. I have been in DC, I have fought the fight. I'm the only candidate up here who has led an agency of the federal government through the DOGE process, where we cut the budget, where we got rid of bureaucrats. And I'm going to continue to do that. It's very important that we codify all of the executive orders that are out there. The election executive order, very important because we have to secure our elections. I'm also committed 100% to joining the new anti-Sharia law caucus. So Trey Traynor will have more discussion later. Thank you.
Everyone, Mike Wheeler. I live in Bernie. I'll be real quick about my background. I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about what we believe in because I want to make a pledge to you all. I started from the grassroots. I was a delegate, precinct chair, county chair of Kendall County, was on the state Republican Executive Committee. And this past spring, President Trump appointed me as a senior advisor to the Small Business Administration, where I worked on reshoring American jobs from China back to the United States. It was an honor to work there, honor of a lifetime. Prior to that, in my other life, I spent almost 25 years trading bonds for banks. They paid me to invest in the debt of companies and countries and analyze them and find out what was good, what was bad, and how we can fix it. But that's what I did for my career. But I want to get into a pledge for you. Because 17%, the U.S. Congress has a 17% approval rating. You know why? Because they are bought and paid for. The majority of them are bought and paid for. Most of them do nothing. We have hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and fraud that DOJ has found. They've rescinded 9 billion of it. That's it. So I want to make this pledge to you. The reason why this is happening is because too many people owe too many people too many favors. Endorsements, be careful of endorsements. There are lots of obligations that come with them. This is my pledge. No money from pharmaceuticals from me. No money from insurance companies from me. No money from big tech to me or big environmental firms. And you know what else? Term limits are never going to make the floor of the House. I'm going to give you my own term limit, no more than 8 to 10 years. I'm going to put all this in writing. And all my life savings are going to go into a blind trust. I will not see it for the time I'm in Congress. I will not get rich out of this. I will not trade a stock as a result of it. My final pledge to the people here, because it's important to you here, my #1 priority for the Hill Country is to get a bill passed to stop the subsidies for best energy storage facilities. My #1 goal, because if we don't stop those subsidies, they're going to continue to come. I'm Mike Wheeler, I'm running for Congress, Congressional District 21. Thank you.
All right, thank you candidates for the introduction, appreciate that a lot. We are actually out of time now, and so no. Okay, we'll start with the first question, and since we started over here for introductions, we're going to start from the other side first with you, Mike Wheeler, and then we'll come down this way. Here's your first question. Regarding medical care and skyrocketing insurance costs, what is your opinion of the Affordable Care Act, and what do you think needs to be changed?
The Affordable Care Act is an absolute disaster. Insurance companies, I just got done my pledge, right? Their stocks are up over 1,000%. Guess why? Because Congress is bought and paid for by Big Pharma and the insurance companies. So what I want to do is, I'm a free market believer. I want to open this up to the free markets. We can solve healthcare. How many people are tired of only being able to choose from 2 or 3 doctors for whatever they want to do? I'm sick of it. I want to open up the networks. Okay? If you got to get an MRI, and it's $700 over here and $300 over there, you should have the right to go get it at $300 and bring all the prices down. Complete transparency on all the prices. We should be able to sell insurance across country, across county lines, across state lines. I mean, it should happen. It's a way to fix it. Everybody should see every price that comes through. It's really not that hard. Just turn it over to the free markets. We will figure it out. So that's and I also want to put money back in your hands. I hope the Senate does not pass this extension on the ACA subsidies. That goes right to insurance companies. I want it to go to your hands. I want to superpower the HSAs and let you spend your money. Mike Wheeler, thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Look, the ACA is a complete disaster, and it really gets to a fundamental issue that our Congress has. And that is, anytime government gets involved in the marketplace, they're picking winners and losers. Anytime that happens, the American people lose, because then everybody is chasing a handout from the federal government. And so at the end of the day, the free market is the solution. We've seen incredible success of co-ops to help with healthcare. We've seen incredible success when markets are opened up and insurance companies are allowed to compete for your business without regulations. And so those are the things that need to happen at the federal level. The federal government needs to get out of the business of subsidizing any type of healthcare.
It's not really the Affordable Care Act, it's the Unaffordable Care Act. When I graduated college, my insurance was $130 with a deductible of $1,000. Now for my wife, myself, and our daughter, it's $2,400 with an $18,000 deductible. Yeah, imagine that. And I have 8 employees that I pay for them health care. We need to break the monopoly of the hospitals. So we allow doctors to start their own small clinics and not lose their privileges from the hospitals. Because capitalism is great. Can we all agree on that? Yeah. But we have now monopolies where you either have Google, healthcare, Amazon, they control it, and it doesn't allow new ideas and new things to come into it. Another thing that we need to bring is the pharmacy benefit manager. You look at companies like Scriptco, Amazon Pharmacy, Mark Cuban. The prescriptions that you take on a daily basis are pennies, if not fractions of a penny. We need to allow your insurances, whether they go to CVS, Walgreens, or any of the other pharmacies out there, go wherever you want to go. Some of your prescriptions, you're going to pay $3 to $4 a month, if not less, for that. Thank you. Rojas for Texas.
You know, I was real estate commissioner for the governor for 7 years, and we doged that agency before it was cool, because that was in 2010 to 17. And retiring from Southwestern AT&T, we saw how healthcare costs moved all the way across the board. Folks, when the ACA came out, now I'm not a lawyer, I do have a mediation arbitration practice, but the ACA, Supreme Court got it wrong. That was an unconstitutional act. It should have been repealed from the beginning, and we should have had congressmen and women that should have stood up with the spine of steel they pretend they have when they're out on the campaign trail, and we should have gotten it stopped from the beginning. Folks, it's not popular because they don't want to talk about it. The only people winning are the lobbyists. And we have to stand up in one voice. President Trump, guess what? Everybody's a President Trump fan. When he's gone in 2 years, whose jersey are they going to put on next? You see, you better vote for somebody that's got some political enemies. You better vote for somebody that actually has done something besides ask for your vote today. That is how we fix these issues. I was an ambassador for representing the state of Texas for the Republican Party, dealing with folks that came through the State Department from around the world. The people that came in that actually disappointed me the most were the Australians. They wanted to talk about healthcare and why we had such a bad healthcare system. And I said, well, how's your healthcare? Oh, well, everybody just pays 1%. And I said, wow, that's cheap. I said, but I bet your healthcare sucks. And they said, oh yeah, American healthcare is a lot better. We have to let the free market reign. We have to let common sense reign. I'm Weston Martinez, Weston for Texas.
I shared with President Trump's team about 3 weeks ago when I was in the White House talking with his team that the Unaffordable Care Act started in 2010 under Obama, and they're hanging it on the Republican neck and President Trump. That's why it caused the longest government shutdown in U.S. history over health care. And it would have done it in January during this continuing resolution, but we had 17 Republicans that broke rank and decided to give $80.4 billion in subsidies to the insurance companies. I'm the only healthcare candidate in the state of Texas that is running for U.S. Congress. I have a bachelor's and master's in health administration, 20 years experience, and I don't even understand healthcare. It's complicated. That's why the Republican parties couldn't fix it. But thank God for what President Trump just dropped today, if you have not seen it. His health care plan to make health care affordable again listed several things: pharmaceutical drugs, getting the cost down. It's a whole long story how it is, but equal price. If Europe's getting it cheap, we're going to get it cheap. He talked about price transparency. It's a huge thing. I'm adding 3 things that I've told, and I've put in a white paper sent to the White House. Number 1, any individual who pays for health care premiums gets to write that off in their taxes. You pay $10,000 in premiums, write it off. Government doesn't need it. Small businesses, number 1 employer in the United States, cannot offer health care because of the cost. They get to write off that in their taxes as well. You will see millions of people immediately get insured in America. And the third thing, which I do not like big government, but I like and approve, 1 catastrophic medical health care plan, because nobody in America should go bankrupt in their time of need or death. And so the government can come in and back and support that. Those are the 3 things that I pitched and put out across the board. We've got to fix healthcare. We have the best and the worst healthcare system in the world, broken up in 3 ways: access, quality, and cost. We spend 17% of our GDP, $5 trillion a year, and we don't have the best access, quality, or cost. Kyle Sinclair for Congress. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question, Wes. So we ran some recent polling, and in this district, affordability popped up as number 1. A big part of that is healthcare costs. So my goal is to make America affordable again. And we'll do that. I will fight for nothing less than to repeal Obamacare in its entirety. I agree, it's pretty much an echo chamber, the last few responses. So everything that said price transparency, putting the money back in your pockets, getting the government out of the way, that's what I'm for and I will fight for. Thank you.
Daniel Betts, this is a question that is close to my heart. I come from a family of doctors, even though I'm a lawyer myself, and I'm proud to have the support and endorsement of Senator Rick Santorum, who was the first to come up with health savings accounts in 1991. He's been advising me on that. That's what we need to move to. The whole problem is not just that it's unaffordable, but that we're using insurance in a way that insurance should not be used. It's like car insurance for an accident that's already occurred. It's like car insurance for changing your oil and your gas. And that's the reason that the cost has ballooned so much. So what we need to move to is free market principles. And when we invest people in their own decisions, meaning putting them in charge of it, well, that's where competition comes in, and that's where cost gets driven down. So that is one aspect of it. I do believe that Mr. Sinclair is correct that we need to pair that with a catastrophic plan, a true insurance with low costs, so that when you have an actual catastrophic issue, that is covered. And that plan also needs to cover preventative care, so that we don't get into this issue where we have a free buffet, because we are all paying for that. And that's why the costs are going up so much. Another thing is pharmacy benefits managers, PBMs. If you don't know about PBMs, you need to know about them. PBMs stand between the insurance companies and independent pharmacies and jack up our costs. And the largest of them is owned by CVS Caremark. And they cause those independent pharmacies, one independent pharmacy a week is going out of business in Texas. We need to stop that, because when they are gone, our costs are going to skyrocket even more. So if you go to any of the independent pharmacies around this district, you'll see my push cards there, because I've talked to every single one of those owners, and they know how important this is, to make those PBMs pay those independent pharmacies the exact same cost that they charge their own pharmacies. It's only fair. So when we institute these principles, free market principles across the board, we're going to see costs driven down significantly. I'm Daniel Betts.
I think ACA is a complete and abject failure. Obamacare should have been repealed. It is not affordable for anybody. I'm fortunate that I have a good health care plan, and I'm a disabled veteran and have some benefits that way. But when I see what my friends go through and what other people go through, or when they come out and they get on ACA, it's not affordable at all. So I think it needs to be repealed. I agree with what President Trump just put out. Definitely need to do something. In my military career, I worked a good part of that in healthcare. I have a lot of clients that are doctors that have started their own practice, left because they're just so disappointed in the healthcare system and being part of the hospitals and the issues that they had. So we need to empower them to do that. But we need to have a better healthcare plan. It is not affordable at all. I agree with what pretty much everybody else said. It needs to be repealed. It's not working for anybody. If you see how premiums have skyrocketed and that's impacted you, then I'm asking you to vote for me, because I'll make a difference. VoteToBoast.com. Thank you.
Mark Teixeira, I also agree with everything we're talking about here. Healthcare savings accounts are huge. Being able to have competition in the market. That is, I am a free market conservative. And the fact that you do not have more choices for your healthcare is a huge problem. I want to give choice back in your healthcare and all over the private sector. I want to be able to, as Mr. Wheeler talked about, I want to be able for you to find a healthcare plan anywhere in the country. I want you to be able to save money in healthcare savings accounts, to be able to have that catastrophic insurance. I want you to be able to look at your life and go, you know what, I'm healthy. All I need is this plan. But right now, your choices are so limited because Obamacare broke the healthcare system. When you give the power to the insurance companies, it takes it away from you. And this is the fundamental problem with our government, is they are taking the power. As an outsider, I am tired of watching the government take the power from you. And it is manifesting itself in the healthcare system. It was an absolutely terrible day when John McCain went and did this. We all remember that. That is a man, that is a person who had power. Whoever you vote in Congress is going to have power. And the question is, are they going to be bought and sold by others in Washington, by the bureaucracy? Are they going to owe their career to somebody in the bureaucracy? Or is it going to be a free-thinking outsider that has nobody that owns them, that can give him any amount of money to ever affect my vote? That is what I promise you. I'm going to make votes that are going to help you and you only. Not me, not the bureaucracy, not any insurance company. Giving you back the power matters, and it's going to help your health care costs. Thank you.
Jason Cahill. We have the best health care in the world, if you can afford it. How many of you have ever tried to call and ask for your prices for an x-ray? Yeah. You have? Oh my gosh, there's always one in a room. There's two. Okay, great. Well, they can't even tell you. You're like, well, we got to speak with your insurance, we got to ask the doctor. They can't even tell you how much an x-ray is. Imagine going to a restaurant saying, how much for that cup of coffee? I don't know, just drink it, we'll bill you later. That's exactly what we got. The healthcare system can't be fixed. It has to be torn down and rebuilt. It has to be rebuilt as a free market. And I can prove to you that the free market works in healthcare. LASIK eye surgery. LASIK eye surgery started out as about $20,000 per eye. And doctors realized that insurance wasn't covering it. It was a personal expense. You had to go out and you had to pay for that if you wanted it. No insurance, no added costs to the doctors. It was a racket. So what happened? Free market takes over. Other doctors start going and studying it. Become ophthalmologists. They start going into this field. Prices start going down. Equipment starts getting manufactured. Now, LASIK eye surgery is $3,500 per eye. That's what the free market does. It balanced itself. You have to have doctors incentivized. You can't tell a doctor, this is how many patients you're going to see, this is how much you're going to do, this is how much you're going to get paid. Good luck with that. You're going to get the bottom of the barrel. Again, we're back to truth. I would love to fix the system, but the system is broken. We have to rebuild it. We have to have people that understand how to build businesses. I'm Jason Cahill. Thank you.
All right, first off, we have a green spending card if somebody's missing it. And if there's a gun purchase on it, I don't know where it came from. But anyways, if you just come find me later, we'll have this card, whoever lost it. Next up, we're going to go to our next question. Very simple question, and the answers could be all kinds of things. We're going to start with Jason Cahill and work this way. And it's very simple. Define liberty and what it means to you.
My most important liberty is my liberty of my religion. That's having the freedom to choose how my children are raised, how we choose our lives, how we devote to God, and how we live our lives. Our liberties are granted to us by the Constitution, but more importantly, they're granted to us by God. We have to follow that faith and make sure that those liberties aren't torn down by those that want to take away the things that are important to us. And in order to keep those, you have to fight for them. You have to activate for them. You can't let somebody else subjugate that. That has to be something, an internal struggle. We all have to stand up together. That's not something that just one representative can do. We're up here to be your representative. That's the point. And we all have to do this together. Our liberties, our religious liberties, our freedoms, those are the most important things that we have. And we have to fight for those together, not as any one can. We have to stand as a nation together and fight those that would want to take those away from us. And we see it every day, how they are trying to be taken away from us. This, for me, is not a candidate issue. This is not a forum issue. This is a nation issue, and we all have to come together to fight for that. Jason Keith.
The Declaration of Independence essentially tells us that our rights as Americans do not come from the government, they come from God. That is the most important thing to me in my life as a private citizen and as your future congressman. My ability to be a faithful man of God, to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, to speak his good name every single day. My ability to raise my family the way I want to raise my family. To teach my kids how I want to teach my kids. To give them the health care or give them any opportunity that they deserve. My ability to love my country, fly a flag on my property or on my car and talk about God bless America in every single corner of this nation and yell it proud. That is the most important liberty of being a United States citizen. And Jason is right. I agree with a lot of what these guys say. You're going to hear the same things. We need to change the hearts of this country. This is not a Republican versus Democrats. This is not a right versus left. This is good versus evil. I read the Bible every single day. My faith is the most important thing to me. And the Bible tells us that there is evil. Genesis 3, this world fell. We live in a broken, sinful world. And the United States government, when done right, led by Donald Trump, led by strong conservatives, they will protect that right. And as your next congressman, I will fight every single day to protect that right. God bless you.
We all enjoy all the great liberties that we have because of the Constitution. And those of us that have served this country to protect that right. But I see our liberties in jeopardy if you look around the country at some of the things that are happening. Some of the things that happened during COVID, you know, it wasn't as bad in Texas, but initially it did happen. Schools closed down, restaurants, you had to do curbside. And the things they still want to bring about, you know, it's in jeopardy. So it's important that we treasure those liberties, but not just treasure them in our heart. Take action, be united, realize that these liberties we enjoy belong to us. God granted those to us, and we have to fight to preserve those liberties. Look at some of these other places. Look at what's happening in Minnesota and California. And people are willing to give up their liberties so that the government can take control or do certain things. So we got to be united on that. I agree that with what everybody said, you're going to find us united on this front with liberty. So Jacques DeBose, votedebose.com. Thank you.
Daniel Betts, I think that the first thing that you have to say is that the Constitution doesn't create liberty. It's God-given, absolutely, to begin with, and liberty of all types. And as somebody who, I'm a young guy, I'm 40, and I came up politically when the Tea Party in its heyday, and so I think about liberty principles and what that means. It means property rights. It means that the government needs to have an actual reason, a constitutional basis to be involved in our lives at all. And I believe that no matter who's at the helm of a federal government, the federal government was intended to be limited in scope, small, and that the 9th and 10th Amendment, as a criminal defense attorney, I defend the 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendments on a regular basis. But the 9th and 10th Amendments are so important because those are our rights. The 9th Amendment says that those rights are guaranteed to us, and that the government doesn't have rights, that we do. And the 10th Amendment, that power should be at the state. So it is very expedient for any candidate who is running for federal office to make a lot of promises to you about things that they can give you and how they're going to make your life incredible. But I believe in limited federal government, and that means there's a lot of promises that I cannot make you because you already have that liberty. And government getting involved, even with the best of intentions, always intrudes on liberty. And if you look at Hayek, one of my favorite authors, that is the road to serfdom, small intrusions, just for the right reasons. It's never a matter of the reasons. It is always the government, that Leviathan, like Hobbes talked about, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. As someone who's fought for liberty, it's special to me. I'll tell you, for me personally, liberty is the principle this nation was founded upon. That's what is the greatest expression that our founding fathers could have done. And I'll tell you, as your next congressman, we're part of the legislative body. I won't just create more laws because that takes away your liberty with every new law written. I will work to repeal laws that we don't need on the books, that take your freedoms away. Wes has a very good tagline on his website. It's less government, more liberty. And I fully believe that and in that. So that's what I would do. And I think I'm supposed to say my name after. So Zeke Enriquez, vote for Zeke.com. Thank you.
Kyle Sinclair. What I would say, the best description I can say of liberty is Venezuela. Look what happened. They were raising the American flag after they were liberated. Freedom. You see, there's no other America to run to at all. And if we don't get our freedom, our liberty, our rights, our privileges correct, Reagan kept saying, we're one generation away from losing our country. Each election is that much more important than the next election. We said it in 2024, it's the same thing in 26, right? President Trump only has 2 years to get stuff done. So that's what I would start with. Look, the reality is that I agree with everything most of these candidates have said, and I think our liberties do come from God. We've got to have that. I believe in a limited government as well, and believe that they should do finite things and do them competently, completely. And everything else should be to free market. Less government. I think the powers are with the states, not with the federal government. And so you've got to get people to understand that, the roles of that the federal government is here not to do that. I always believe in Reagan's saying, the 9 scariest words you can hear somebody say is, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. I don't believe in it. Best example I can give, I lived it, watched what Kerr County, watched what the city of Kerrville did during the floods. Pretty much kicked FEMA out. They didn't need FEMA. You guys did it yourself. And it was a blessing to be a part of it, to be a part of the community, to fight for it, to see it in action, and that's what I believe and stand for. Kyle Sinclair for Congress.
I'm Weston Martinez, and I live in District 21. Folks, as a Turning Point USA faith pastor, I can tell you that very few people articulated our liberties as well as Charlie Kirk did. And also, because of the movement he has, that's why I have talked about why we have to mobilize our youth. I'm the only guy that's talking about it, folks. We have to do it. There's a Bolshevik revolution that's taking place in our country. It's not even socialism. They made the guillotine famous because you wouldn't go the other 5%. Go look it up if you don't know what I'm talking about. And when we're looking down the face of a guillotine, you better figure out who's going to fight for you and who's going to run. And you better listen. This race comes down to one sentence. I will versus I have. God bless everybody that says they will do something. What have they done? Folks, when we're talking about Black Lives Matter, and we're talking about an allegiance to a radicalized Islamification of our country, trust me, you're going to like what me and Valentina got planned. Had a great call with her this week because she heard about what's going on here in 21. We have to fight for our country because if not, we don't have another country to run to. We have to stand up. We have to make sure that we know that it's biblical and constitutional apologetics. And I will tell you, we have a political problem in our country that requires a biblical solution. And that is how we get our country back. It's not by going back and hiding. It's not by cowering down. It's not by paying more taxes. It's not by thinking, oh, they'll go, they'll leave me alone. No, they won't. They're going to come for you. They're going to force you to put a mask on again. They're going to force you to take another vaccine. And right now, I'm working with Ted Nugent to stop Texas Parks and Wildlife from killing deer on his property. I'm the only guy working on stopping food supply issues. And I'm the only water expert in the race. Folks, if we don't protect our water and our food, you won't even be able to open a Bible to read. You'll be dead. I'll fight for you. I have been fighting for you. Weston Martinez, WestonForTexas.com.
So I want y'all to say something with me. During the Revolutionary War, it was give me liberty or give me death. And that was when we said as a country, no more kings. Well, I hate to tell you something. We have kings in this country, and they're called federal judges. Yeah. We look at everything that President Trump and whoever you pick as your next representative is going to do. It only goes so far. And that's because we have unelected bureaucrats that put their will and their thumb on the scale. As your next representative, I want to fight for fixing judicial tyranny. Put a sunshine law in that says, let's figure out who's tied to George Soros. Let's figure out who's tied to the dark money. Let's figure out who's a patsy of the government, of the Democrat Party, and let's turn around and make sure that they don't let illegals, they don't let criminals, they don't let anyone that they say, we're going to let them into this civilization, and you have to deal with it. I have to deal with it. I have to worry about it for my daughter. I have to worry about it for her classmates. Thank you. Paul Rojas for Texas.
Thank you for the question, Wes. Where the people fear the government, there is tyranny. Where the government fears the people, there is liberty. That's the answer to your question. That liberty is protected by three things, and our founders knew it. It's protected by three boxes: the ballot box, the jury box, and the cartridge box. Those are the three. And all three of those are under assault from the left. The First Amendment and your right to vote is under assault. Your right to a jury trial is under assault by unelected federal judges that want to put forward nationwide injunctions when they don't have jurisdiction to do it. And your Second Amendment rights, but for a few individuals and organizations defending them, would be completely eradicated. So all three of those boxes are under attack. And that is all that keeps us from living under tyranny. My name is Trey Trey.
Can I just see a show of hands of people whose grandfathers, great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers are immigrants to our great country? Yeah, a lot. Liberty to me is the American dream. I am a product of the American dream. My great-grandfather came from Italy when he was 8 years old by himself to New York City, and he made it. I'm here. I'm standing here. All right? I grew up in a very rural area of New Hampshire. We had no money. We lived week to week. My dad lost his job to a manufacturing job in China. I was in an abusive home. But because of American liberty, I was able to get an amazing education, pick myself up on my bootstraps, get a great job, work my butt off, make a good career, raise a great family, and provide, and I'm running for the United States House of Representatives. What an amazing country. That is liberty. That's what we all ask for. The Democrats, on the other hand, are fighting to destroy our liberty. The rise of socialism is a perfect example. Everything has to be free, right? Everybody has to be equal. Racial equity, right? That's not liberty. Liberty is being able to come to America, lift yourself up by your bootstraps. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what color you are, what economic background, what sex you are. We all have the same opportunity to make it. That is liberty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really like the power of a simple question to really find out where people stand at. So, next question, and we're going to start, Kyle, with you and go that direction, and then we'll come back around over here. So, all right. Across multiple states, including here in CD21, communities are debating the rapid expansion of data centers. What is your opinion of these data centers and their placement in the Hill Country?
Yeah, the quick answer is they need to stop, right? We've got to stop it. I would say I'm listening to President Trump very close on this subject, right? The race for AI. I've talked to a couple people out there. We've got to be the first for it and to it. I get it. I understand what he's saying. But the placement of it, the impact of it, and the community response to it needs to be involved. It is destroying communities across this country, placed in residential areas, placed in desert areas, and sucking up water. The energy consumption that is happening across the board, and non-regulation of it is also a very important part of it. There's an interesting documentary about it where you can't trace it, who's buying them, who's putting them in, where they're coming from, except for one thing they can trace: the generators that are a part of it, because you have to register the generators in order to get it. So it's kind of interesting what's going on. So it's a balance, it's a mix, it's an impact here in this community. We've got to stop it. This is not the right place for it. When you have scarcity of water, you've got to preserve and reserve that water, the water rights. But you also have to balance what President Trump is going after for a country, the race for AI. China is after it. There's no way around it. So I think there needs to be a ton of community discussions for it, involvement with it, and we've got to protect, again, the communities that we all live in and those water rights. So Kyle Sinclair for Congress.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I told you, Weston Martinez, I live in the district. So when I vote for us, I'll be voting for us. So it'll be like this instead of like this. All right? And let me tell you, we have a water crisis that is different in each formation across the state of Texas. And nobody is looking at this from a long-term solution. We have a couple of different ways we can address this issue. One, there actually is a GE US-made nuclear power plant that's a micro plant that we actually can put on site at a location, use that to cool the water, recirculate the water continually, and not have to put new water in and make it a closed captured system. And then we're not empowering China. Right? Because if you buy stuff, most places, you're going to be buying parts from China. That's why they were talking about registration. So now, what are we going to do about not having them here in the Hill Country? We need to look at, that's why I've worked with some of the people that have been fighting the battery storage, and because of my background in real estate, oil and gas, and actually working on power purchase agreements, they tried to put me on the PUC a couple of times, but they said I was too close to the industry. You see, in those veins, most people don't realize when you create a green energy project in Texas, you actually create carbon credits. And they can take carbon credits and sell it on the world market. It's even worse than you could even imagine. So I've gone through and I've put together a scorecard for the county and cities in the Hill Country, so that way the county commissioners and the city council members can say, you know what? It's going to take us this much money and this much firepower to actually respond to a chemical fire that's the equivalent of 600 Teslas catching on fire. That's right. Right? We have to fight them with facts, but we have to fight them in a way that is smart. We have to realize that we have to re-hijack the plane. These people that we're dealing with have wild amount of money and resources, but they don't have the people. I'm Weston Martinez. I live in District 21.
So when I was at Microsoft, one of my jobs that I worked on was data center optimization. And let me tell you, it kept me awake at night looking at how much water these plants use. Now I did a year in Washington State and then came back when COVID hit because they just went loco. Some of these data centers use as much water as a city like Bernie or Kerrville does in a single year in one day. What's that going to do to our farmers? What's that going to do to our ranchers? What's that going to do to our aquifer and our environment? Now they're starting to figure out that some of this data centers are causing cancers, causing all other types of health issues. My background in data centers is going to allow me to call BS when they sit there and say, hey, let's push this in. Another thing that you need to think about is who's pushing these. Amazon, Microsoft, Google. All of those companies, they're importing H-1B visas left and right. Microsoft itself, as I left in 2023, by 2025 it brought 70,000 H-1Bs here. That's American jobs. That's about $100 billion that the middle class loses out on in a 10-year span. And that's jobs for your kids, your grandkids, engineering projects. I'm a physicist, and I understand it at a higher level than anyone can in this race. Thank you.
Thank you. Data centers. Listen, this is not an issue that you want the federal government dealing with. There are a lot of issues that you don't want the federal government dealing with, but you don't want them dealing with this one. Congress just recently had a debate about whether or not the federal government should regulate AI or whether it should be left to the states. Republicans crossed over and voted against the rights of the states to regulate what's going on in their states. The best people to decide what happens with data centers in the state of Texas are the people in Texas. You're the ones that own the property. You're the ones that should decide what happens with those. Data centers right now are being built what's called inside the wires at utility plants so that they won't be regulated by the state of Texas. The only way that's going to change is for your state legislature to come in and say, we can now regulate what goes on inside the power plants. That's something that Wes has to deal with next time the legislature comes in. And so I'm really glad that he brought this up so we can talk to him about it. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the fundamental thing. These things need to be handled at the lowest possible level. We are all Republicans. We believe in local control. But what local control means is that you, the citizens, can interact. So we just, the best systems up in Gillespie County just had another injunction issued against those. Great success for us, but that only happens because people locally get active in it. So this is not an issue that you want the federal government dealing with. It's an issue that you want the state to deal with. And for me, that's always going to be the lens that I look through is what is the appropriate level for these things to be dealt with? Is this something that Congress should be addressing or not? And in this particular case, it's not. So Trade Trainer, my website is TREY4TX. Thank you.
And there we go. Finally, we get to disagree on something. I stand with President Trump. President Trump is completely against the states regulating AI. And the reason is because we are at war with China. Does anybody doubt that? Does anybody doubt that China is going to try to destroy us with AI? Right? Can you imagine if we leave the regulatory environment to Massachusetts, Illinois, California, New York? We're going to lose that fight, and China's going to destroy us. So let's be careful what we ask for, okay? But the thing about the data centers, it comes back, who are my best warrior, my battery energy storage system warriors in here? Raise your hands, okay? Direct impact. That's why these are popping up here, is because Congress and our government got involved in giving subsidies away to wind and solar. Do you know how many gigawatts are being planned to be added to our system for these AI data centers? It's about 12 gigawatts per year to our grid, 12, okay? What percentage of that each year is for nuclear or natural gas? Zero. Zero. It's all wind and solar because of the subsidies. And that's not going to change until we send somebody to Washington with the courage to stop these subsidies. It needs to end. So yes, data centers, they're a fact of life. But let's get them out of here or put them in areas that won't impact our beautiful hill country and won't impact our lives. Thank you very much.
Oh, Wes. What do you think of AI data centers in 2 minutes? Simple. AI data centers in the hill country, bad. I'm Jason Cahill.
I like this guy. Listen, we have to be able to work with people. This is an issue that is going to be happening all over Texas, because Texas is a small country. We are the 8th largest economy of the world. They are trying to put data centers all over Texas because of the AI revolution. And let's be very clear. I agree with Mr. Wheeler. The AI revolution in and of itself is not a bad thing. What it's going to do for our cybersecurity, what it's going to do for future jobs, future productivity, many of you in this room will benefit from AI. What I would do is I would get every single Republican in Texas, in the Texas delegation, and we would meet in Washington and we would say, we don't want data centers in the hill country. It's too beautiful. God has put his thumbprint on the hill country, and it is a special place. We are opting out of data centers. We might have somebody in the Houston area says, actually, we need some data centers. You might have somebody in Dallas say, you know, we need data centers. Data centers should not be here. But you have to understand, if you don't work with people, if we don't work with other people, they will jam it down your throats. This is a common sense. I'm an outsider. I've never been in Washington. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe people are going to say, hey, Tex, it doesn't work that way in Washington. The bureaucracy runs everything. You vote as you're told. No. That's not how I'm going to work. I'm going to talk with everybody in this room and say, do you want data centers? Is there anyone who's going to raise their hand? No. Okay? So I'm going to go to Washington and say, my constituents have spoken. So I understand data centers are a part of life. We need to figure out, as Texas, how are we going to go to the 21st century of AI and support President Trump's agenda, support the defense agenda, and make sure that we're doing this right.
So data centers, and you're familiar with NIMBY, not in my backyard. This is a case where it applies in the beautiful Texas Hill Country. Water is a precious commodity in the Hill Country. It's not like Houston where you have reservoirs and water and the levels of rain that they get. So the data centers here would impact us, the amount of water, the power that they take to generate, to operate these things. It's a huge drain. The Hill Country does not have the same geography that's going to allow that to function. It's going to be too much of a strain for the Hill Country. So I would not support seeing data centers here. Again, that needs to be on a state level. But the data centers, there's a place for them somewhere else, but in the Hill Country, as you know, since you live here, it's too much of a strain for what we have in this beautiful Texas Hill Country. The data centers maybe they'd function better in a Houston area, but other parts of Texas it's not going to work either. But we've really got to, as local community, grassroots efforts are what's going to make it happen. And when the legislature is back in session, that's when you take groups to Austin to advocate for the communities and against the data centers in the Hill Country. So I would not support it. I don't think that the federal government needs to be involved in that. For less government, smaller government, and I think that's a local decision. You see what the grassroots efforts did with the battery storage. People need to come together and keep fighting that, because we cannot destroy the Hill Country and not have the resources for our future community, for our kids and grandkids. Thank you.
Daniel Betts. Excuse me. Before I was a lawyer, I was a University of Chicago educated chemist. And so I think about things like this in terms of thermodynamics, follow the electrons. And so I think people from Rail County, Bandera, they know about the high voltage power lines that are going in to support this. So that's one issue. Water is another issue. Nobody's talked about noise pollution. We have one of the highest places, bird watching. If you're a birder, the Hill Country is one of the most amazing places for that. These data centers destroy the habitats of those birds, destroy their mating patterns, all of that. So we need to, at a state level, I do think we need to keep them out of here. Everyone has been conflating AI with data centers. The federal government can regulate AI. AI, it's a question still of whether or not it is a weapon or a tool. And it may well be both. But I think that it is good to have, as President Trump has had, a watch and wait stance with respect to it. And we can still allow the states to regulate the data centers themselves, where to put them, what types of requirements they have. We do need to look forward to the future. Again, I'm a chemist. The only way we're going to be able to power the needs, not only of this generation of data centers, but the next one, is with nuclear. And there's no way to do it. And modular nuclear is the key. We're going to have to solve our water issues, and incidentally, nuclear is the solution there. Pairing nuclear with desalination on the Gulf, floating molten salt reactors to bring us fresh water. That's going to solve all of those problems. The amount of water that we are going to get from that, the amount of energy that we are going to get from that, we're going to feel like we were living in the 1800s here in 2026 when we see it. And so we need to look forward to that future. And so I intend to get out of the way regulatorily at the federal level to allow that to happen and to have Texas remain an energy dominant state in not just the nation but in the world. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Wes. I agree with Daniel on making that distinction between AI and data centers. He's absolutely right. There is a race for AI, and that is completely separate from situation with data centers. My own personal opinion, I am fully against data centers here in the Hill Country. One, it obviously takes away from the beauty. Two, there's a national security threat. A lot of these parts are made in China, and we know they're not our friends. As a firefighter, I also understand the safety issue, and environmentally, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So I'm fully against it. But at the end of the day, as your congressman, how many of y'all are for data centers here in the Hill Country? The room has spoken. So that is, I would not support it at all. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to, I forgot my paper, can't do it without it. We're going to do a couple of lightning round questions. I'm going to modify some of these for the sake of time also, which I think we already kind of discussed this, but if you support green energy subsidies being put in the Hill Country, raise your hand. All right, there we go. We're good on that one? All right. Okay, if you believe we should abolish the income tax, raise your hand. All right. And one more question before we go into another series of questions. If elected, would you join the Freedom Caucus? All right. Okay, we're going to start with our next question, and I'm watching the clock to make sure so that way we do get out of here on time. We're going to start with Zeke and just reverse order back. So we'll come this way and then over to Mike. Who is your favorite founding father and why?
So for me, it's easy. It's George Washington all day. And I'll tell you why. It's more to a personal level. We were actually just in DC about a month ago, and we made a point, or sorry, this was back in October. I was there to run the Marine Corps Marathon. But while my wife and I were there, we made it a point to stop at Mount Vernon and just learning about how innovative he was, how many different trades or things he was into, the farming techniques. It was like looking in the mirror when I was reading this. I was like, hey, I do that. Hey, that's me. So by far, easy question, George Washington. Thank you.
Well, I hate to be a copycat, Daniel Betts, but for me it's George Washington too. It's for different reasons though. The reason that President Trump is able to be the great president that he is today, and Ronald Reagan and all of the great Republicans that we have had, is because of the example set by George Washington. There were no term limits. He could have been a king. People wanted him to become our king. And I am very cognizant of the fact that when someone goes to Washington, they can be a good person. Many people who have been good people, as much as anyone really can be, have gone to Washington with the best of intentions and have been changed by it. I don't think that there's a way that you can go to that place and not be changed by it. And George set that example for us to say, it's time to step down. That's what it truly means to be a servant. And so I'm ardently for term limits, and I intend to limit myself. You know, I have 3 young boys, an 8, a 5, and now a 9-month-old today who's in the back. You should go meet him, Wally. But I need to get back to them. And so they tie me here. And George Washington is one of the biggest inspirations for keeping me on the straight and narrow as a representative and being true to who I am now and who I intend to be for y'all as a representative.
Yeah, for me it would also be George Washington. He was a brilliant mind. He was an incredible warrior and a fighter, and what he did in establishing this country, leadership. I've studied him. I've studied what he did. I've been to Mount Vernon. I've spent a lot of time in DC in those areas, and just what he did for this country was amazing. And the legacy that he left, we're still enjoying that today. So, Jacques DuBose, VoteDuBose.com.
I love old George, but I'm not saying George Washington. Benjamin Franklin is my favorite founding father because he was a little bit crazy. Benjamin Franklin wasn't a career politician. He wasn't somebody that took no for an answer. Everyone thought he was radical at his time. He went over to Europe and got trade deals done. He went back here, and he was a leader in multiple different fields. A lot of people think I'm crazy for running for Congress. Like, Tex, you got a great life. Why would you subject yourself to some of the craziness that we see in politics? I say, you know what? It takes somebody that's just a little bit crazy to actually make a difference in Washington, D.C. Because if you toe the line, if you're just someone that says yes to everybody, if you have a lot to lose by voting against your friends or voting against your party, then you're not going to be an effective congressman. And Benjamin Franklin was an effective founding father because he had a couple screws loose, and he went out and he did whatever it took to make this country succeed. And I might have a screw loose, but I can guarantee you I'm going to do whatever it takes to help CD21 and this country succeed. Mark Teixeira.
George Washington. What made him great? First president. What made him great is that he was willing to fight for it. He was the general. He was the man that actually went to battle to build this country. I went to battle for this country. He built businesses. He was a leader of the community. It was something that he lifted others up around him. I built a leader of the community. Lifted others up around him. It's one thing to idolize somebody, to look up to them. It's another to walk in their shoes to try to imitate that type of behavior and rise to the occasion when you are called to rise to the occasion, not because of rhetoric, but because of who you are. I just ask you to look at who we are. Yeah. I'm Jason Kane.
GW. And guess what? I got an accounting degree from George Washington University. So of course I'm going to pick GW. But did you know that GW fought for the British in the French and Indian War? Right? He actually, I don't know if you've heard this story, he had bullet wounds, but not bullet wounds, all his jacket. Did you hear about this? It's divine intervention. He was supposed to be our president. God had him to be our president. Do you know how many times the United States was like, only 30% of the United States wanted independence. George Washington had to fight against that. He had to have the courage with limited number of men to fight this great army. The Battle of Brooklyn, we almost lost it. We were almost done. Trenton, Valley Forge. He kept fighting. We were almost done several times, and he kept fighting. And we wouldn't be here without him. So yes, I love all our founding fathers. But I'll tell you what, I love the fact that GW, the British wouldn't give him a place in the British Army after the French and Indian War. And you know what he said? All right, you're going to pay. Right? And that's what he did. So God bless GW.
Thank you for the question, Wes. You know, it's really easy to sit up here and talk about George Washington because everybody knows about George Washington. My favorite founding father is Madison. And the reason why is because he's the father of the Constitution. He's the father of limited government. He's what gave us the republic that we have. Remember, we didn't have the republic when we won the Revolution. They had to develop the Constitution. And he sat down and thought about it and wrote it out. And then he realized, you know what? I didn't get it all right. And so during the first Congress, what did he do? He passed the Bill of Rights. He said there are certain things that government should never intrude on. The right of a free press, the right of people to practice their religion, the right to keep and bear arms. And then he said, you know what, there are certain rights that are reserved to the states, and we need to make sure that those don't get infringed. And so he gave us a republic. And as Benjamin Franklin said, it's a republic if we can keep it. And John Adams told us that that Constitution presupposes a Christian moral people. And so at the end of the day, things like radical Islam coming into our country cannot stand because they go against the presuppositions of our republic. And so Chip Roy has funded a bill that says that Islam and Sharia law, well not Islam, but that Sharia law should be banned in the United States across all areas. And 100% it should be passed. Chip Roy is not going to be there to pass it. I will take that bill and pass it. Trey Trainer.
So when we look at our military, we see technology, we see engineering, and we see science. I'm someone that has a background in that, and I look to Benjamin Franklin. Why? Because look at what we did in Venezuela. 20 guys took on an army of 300, plus their radar system, plus their whole military, and that happened because of engineering and science. Engineering and science is very simple. It's either a yes or it's a no. It's not emotion that we see with the Democrats. And as an engineer and a scientist, I can cut through the BS that we're going to sit there and hear from the Democrats when they want to say, let's put data centers here. Let's do this. A boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy. That doesn't happen. Science doesn't lie. Engineering doesn't lie. 1 and 0. That's it. Thank you.
George Washington realized that there was a God and it wasn't him. A lot of people running for office or that even hold office don't even understand that today. You see, folks, whenever you've got people coming into your house and coming into your country, what are you going to do? What kind of leader are you going to be? You're going to stick your finger in the air? You're going to switch jerseys? What are you going to do? We have to elect leaders like George Washington that realized that there was a God and it was not him. You know, one of the reasons why Rick Green endorsed me, to run for state party chair of the Republican Party of Texas was because he knew my value system was founded in the Bible and the Constitution. He knew that under pressure of the rhinos and the left that I would not cave. He knew that I had a track record of standing on the side on the side of good against evil, regardless if it was evil with an R behind its name, or if it was evil with a Soros check in their back pocket. You see, folks, we have to get real. There's a reason why I went out and said, day one, I'm going to actually create a bill that eliminates birthright citizenship for illegal aliens. Why? Because I see the threat like George Washington did. We have 300,000 anchor babies per year in the United States of America, sinking our ships today, sinking our economy today. You want to know where all of the inflation came from? There's a spot. I'm the only guy that came out and also said that if you are a citizen that immigrated into our country and you've stolen from our taxpayers, you should be deported, you should be arrested, and your assets should be seized. It's not cool, it's not popular, it's not going to make the lobbyists on K Street want to take me out for coffee. But you know what it is going to do? It's going to show you that I am one of us. I'm Weston Martinez, and I approve this message because I live in District 21.
Councilor Thayer and I will also add George Washington, I have to. But I'll tell you why. I learned in 2020, again, I shared at the beginning when I was doing my opening speech about what the federal government does. And what I learned very fast is that if you allow the federal government to break the law during an emergency, they will always create an emergency to break the law. And so that's what I got to do, stand up and fight. I remember the Biden administration came down and said any hospital taking federal funds, which is 99.9% of every healthcare entity, has to mandate masks for all employees, has to mandate the COVID vaccine. I remember talking to Brooke Rollins, phenomenal work what she's done for this country. And I talked to her in 2022, and she asked me a question. She said, I just got back from Mar-a-Lago, just talked to President Trump, and he asked me a question, did we move too fast with the COVID vaccine? Meaning the healthcare. And I said, well, first off, as a frontline healthcare executive and fighting COVID and watching my employees die and patients die, it was a deadly disease in the beginning, but this is not a vaccine. You see, your vaccine eradicates a disease. Measles, mumps, TB, polio, they're gone. This is not a vaccine. What this is a virus that mutates, becomes less lethal and more transmissible. And that's what you saw, where it ended up in that area. And so what I said as a frontline leader, first tell President Trump, thank you, to fight, to get warp speed, to get rid of the regulation. But we've got to figure out how to fix it because it is creating more problems than good across this country. I fight human trafficking in the city of San Antonio and got it passed via proclamation that the month of January is known via proclamation in the city of San Antonio as Human Trafficking Prevention Awareness. We uncovered a voter harvesting organization in the city of San Antonio that spanned all 254 counties in the state of Texas. I personally got Attorney General Ken Paxton to come sue Kerr County for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have to fight. That's what George Washington did. House of Kerr for Congress.
All right, for the sake of time, because we're already at 8 o'clock tonight, I'm going to do one lightning round question, and then we're going to go into closing statements. For closing statements, we'll start over here and work our way down. You each get 2 minutes. Lightning round question. Do you support eliminating the Federal Department of Education and returning education control fully to the states? Raise your hand if yes. I do got to say, I'm disappointed I didn't hear Thomas Jefferson. I was really hoping that's mine. So either way, good choice. And Mike, I thought you were saying G.W. Bush at first, so I was a little concerned. But I'm glad you clarified that. All right. Okay, we're going to start with closing statements. We're going to start with Jason Cahill. We'll work to the end. And I got to also, we want the candidates to be able to get to their tables to where they can talk to you and answer questions. So if you don't mind, just allow them to get to their tables before you open up for questions, because it'll kind of mess it up if you don't. So we really appreciate, y'all took a lot of time out of your hands, so thank y'all for doing that, and it means a lot to us that you're doing so. Thank y'all.
Like Wes said, thank you. Appreciate everybody coming out here and sitting out and listening to all of us kind of rant. I would like to point out to what I just said when we started this out. I was going to answer every one of your questions. And that was the point, so you can answer it. Not to go into some other rhetoric or spin or do your media training to talk about what you want to talk about. We're going to talk about you, not us. Everyone we can grandstand. We can all come up and we can spin some issues to talk about and get you riled up about all these issues. What we're here to do, or what I am here to do, is try to show you who I am. It's hard to get that in 2 minutes. What you have to see is the sincerity of the person, not the noise that they're willing to create. Noise doesn't solve problems. Actions solve problems. Have people that will actually have solutions to those problems, not complain about them. It's easy to pick apart things. What's hard, what can be impossible, is putting things together and fixing what's broken. I have a life experience of doing that. As a veteran, I know what it means to serve and sacrifice. As a CEO, I know what it means to manage resources, to solve complex problems, and work with multiple personalities. As a father of 4 young children, a family man, I have a strategic vision to understand that today's choices affect the future of tomorrow, not just today. I'm Jason Cahill. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your consideration. Have a wonderful day.
I think we agree on probably 99% of the issues up here. We are conservative Republicans. We are Trump, America First Republicans. But the question that I always get asked when I first meet folks, and I have really enjoyed the last 4.5 months on this campaign trail, meeting people all over this district, and they go, Tex, why do you want to run for Congress? And I say, because I have 3 children. I have a freshman at Texas A&M, my oldest son. I have a senior daughter who has gotten into Texas A&M and TCU. I hope she stays in one of those schools so she can be a couple hours from home. And I have a freshman son. And I care deeply about those children, and I want those children to grow up and hopefully live in Texas. And I care about Texas families, and what y'all need are representatives that care about you. And so when you talk about jobs, when you talk about public safety, when you talk about good schools, when you talk about health care, those aren't just talking points. I'm not a politician. I've been a politician for a couple months. Those points we're talking about is very personal to me because that's what I want my children to have. That's what every Texas child, every Texas family deserves. And so I'm running for Congress to fight the good fight, to put my hat in the ring and say, you know what? The system is broken. It's been broken by bureaucrats and lifetime politicians. Just so we are clear, this system needs to be fixed. And people say, Tex, why are you going up to Washington? It's just a cesspool up there. Nothing gets done. Nothing but bad people out for themselves. And I go, well, that's exactly why I want to go up there, because if good people that have already been successful never go into politics, then you're never going to have good, successful people in Washington. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your support of all of the candidates. Thank you for being here. Have a great night.
I want to thank you for carving out time. I know it's late, but you carved out time to be here to listen to us tonight, so I really appreciate that. I served in the world's finest Navy, had a great career in the Navy. I'm grateful for that. I've been a public servant most of my life. I've served in the municipal levels as well. Don't consider myself a politician. Again, I consider myself a public servant. And so that's what I want to continue to do. I fought for our country. I served this country. I'm America First and Texas First. If you go to my website, you'll see that on there. We need to come together and unite to make a difference and fight the corruption in D.C. I intend to do that when I go there. I've worked in D.C. doing advocacy work. I've walked those halls. I've met with members of Congress. I know how to navigate D.C. I know how to get those meetings that are important. Been up there to hear testimony with other veterans that are testifying for issues on veterans matters and healthcare and other things. So I understand how it works. I won't be part of the problem, I will be a solution. I give you my word that I will do my best. Ethics and integrity are what I'm all about. Being approachable, being a man of my word, standing on my word, praying to God every day for this country, this nation. I have 3 kids. I had a daughter that I lost 3 years ago. I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this for my kids. My youngest is still in school. He's a middle schooler. When he was a little kid, he used to want to part his hair. He wanted a Trump haircut. He's a little bitty conservative. Well, he's bigger than me now. He's 14. He's taller than me. My wife's 6'1". But I'm doing it for my family, for my kids, and for the people that live in this district. So hopefully you get to meet him soon. But and you can hear him on Bernie Radio. He does the weather on Bernie Radio since he's 9. But I'm Jacques DeBose. You can find out more at votedebose.com. If you want to grab a coffee with me, let me know. If you want to carve out some time and meet, I'm happy to meet with you. Truly appreciate y'all being here tonight. Votedebose.com is where you can find out more. Thank you.
I'm Daniel Betts. I just want to share with you how deeply humbled I am to be here in front of you, and I want to share with you a little bit about my faith and why I'm here. It's not that I want to run for Congress. This isn't for me. I have felt a call from God to run for this position. I ran previously for district attorney of Travis County to try and put up some Republican opposition against the crazy policies that they have in Austin. Was not successful, but I'm a fighter. And when my wife and I, when we took on that fight, she said, you have to bring your talents to the community. Matthew 25, you can't bury them, the talents that God has given us. And I have the heart of a servant. I'm a weird person because I like doing the dishes. When I'm doing the dishes, I'm thinking about every individual person who put that food on there and what they mean to me. And I love you. Thank you for being here. I am so deeply honored to have the opportunity not just to represent you, but be able to stand alongside President Trump and support his agenda in Washington, an opportunity that I never thought I'd have. The second greatest honor of my life behind marrying my wife, Piper. And I read the Bible to my boys every night. We've been reading chapter by chapter through, starting at Genesis. And when Chip announced that he was running for Attorney General, that was the day that we got to Jonah. And after we did that prayer and discernment, it really felt like God was saying to me, hey, Jonah had a calling, and he tried to run away from it. What are you going to do? And it's a great personal sacrifice to be away from my family, my 3 young boys that were blessed to be able to homeschool out in Dripping Springs, to do this. But I'm willing to do it because I feel called to do it. And I also want to talk about another verse that I like, Mark 10:42-43, where Jesus tells us that if you want to be a leader, you need to first be a servant. And if you want to be a leader of all, you need to be slave of all. And so it's in that way that I supplicate myself before you. I want to be not just a public servant, but a true servant for you. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Daniel Betts.
So I don't want to mockingbird Daniel. He kind of took the wind out of my sails there because I have a very, very similar story, almost identical. And if you ask me anywhere why I'm running, I'll tell you, and you can hear it. I will say, so I've got a proven record, a lifetime of servant leadership, from the Marine Corps to being a firefighter to volunteering in church ministry. That's my nature. I live to serve, and that's why I'm stepping up. Just one more area I feel I can serve Texas 21. Be a fighter for you guys, for the America First principles, to keep advancing Donald Trump's agenda, and I won't stop. You know, Marines, once we have a mission in front of us, we don't stop until it's accomplished. So, thank you for your time. I appreciate y'all all being out here and dedicated to this process. Wes, thank you for your time and for moderating. God bless y'all, God bless Texas, God bless America. If you want to learn more, check out zekefortexas.com. Thank you.
Kyle Sinclair, you know, I've listened to President Trump's speech today about health care, and he ended with, Congress has a job to pass this now. They are failing. I think Mike Wheeler mentioned 17% approval rating. Healthcare is not going to pass unless you get people in there that understand healthcare. I will reiterate, I am the only healthcare candidate in the state of Texas that is running. We all touch this world in healthcare, we touch it through our life, and we leave this world touching healthcare. And it doesn't matter if you're rich, If you're poor, if you're black, if you're white, if you're from the north part, south part, doesn't matter. We all touch it, but it's never a top priority. This is the first time in 15 years that we have the first time to actually fix healthcare, and a president that will do it. I was asked in the past, if I supported President Trump. I voted for him in 2016, voted for him in 2020, voted for him in 2024, and then was elected as one of the presidential electors for the state of Texas that officially went to the Capitol and elected Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance as the President and Vice President of the United States. I was then invited to the White House, to the inauguration in D.C. because of that. I love this country, I've served this country, and I will be damned if any group like Islam or any other nation tries to come to this country and take away our freedoms, our rights, and our privileges. Because there is no other America to run to. None. Our children deserve it, your children deserve it, our grandchildren deserve it. And that's why all of you are here, that's why all of us are running. We thank you for coming out here. Thank you for spending the time listening to us. And last thing I will keep saying, there's no other America to run to. God bless you guys. Please check out my website, KyleForTX.com, Kyle Sinclair for Congress. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're at the 250th anniversary of our country. We're at a turning point. We have to go into battle with proven weapons, proven people that have gone in there before today, and we're standing up and fighting for our freedoms, fighting for our liberties, and fighting for the future of the unborn children that we haven't even been blessed with yet. And that is what I have done already. That's a reason why people like Matt Long, as I mentioned earlier, is endorsing me. That's a reason why people like Ted Nugent is endorsing me. Because I see some of the problems, and I know that I don't need to be the smartest guy in the room. My job is to have smarter people than me in the room, so I can make the decision. You see, I've already got lobbyists that won't take meetings with me. You know why? Because I'll tell them, no. You want to know the most powerful words in DC? No and why. And make them repeat it, because they don't want to answer those questions. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't looking for a fight when they brought me all of the absentee ballots that were to a cemetery in the south side of San Antonio that had the same handwriting and the same address. But I created, through that action, I created the bill that made voter fraud a felony in Texas. I created another bill that made human trafficking a death penalty eligible offense. It was Donna Campbell's first bill to file when she was senator. We helped her win that race. I was not a legislator. I just figured out how the lobbyists did it, and I did it for myself. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when you are a warrior, you know how to fight. You may not know how to win, but you know how to fight until you win. You know how to get people that have a common objective so that we can actually move this district forward. I live in this district. I go to work in this district. I hunt in this district. My children go to school in this district. Do you see a theme in 5 seconds? WestonForTexas.com, WestonForTexas.com. God bless you. God bless Texas.
Thank you, everyone. I know the moment that I chose to jump into this race, it was when seeing that bullet hit Charlie Kirk. I'm 38. He was a couple years younger than me, and I realized the future of this nation, we have to focus on the youth. We have to bring them over to our side. We have to have people that can articulate the issues and understand what we're actually going through. I touched on a couple of my endorsements that I had. I, by no means, am one of the most successful candidates in raising money. But the folks that decided to endorse me, they looked at what I did. And one of those things that really sold the Republican Liberty Caucus was instead of paying $25,000, $30,000 for the texting outreach that we're all familiar with, I did it myself in 2 days. $400, and to send 28,000 text messages, it's less than $100. Think of that magnitude. Think of all that money that goes into politics and the grip that comes with it. So if you want someone that's fiscally conservative and takes the idea of how do we do this for cheaper, just like Elon did with Douche, I'm your person. I'll leave you with this. One of the lessons that I learned in the space industry, in the tech industry, and the firearm industry is fail fast. If it doesn't work, you tear it down, you rebuild it, and you bring the brightest minds to do that. Thank you. Ross for Texas.
Okay, I have to do this because I forgot that Andrew had one other thing that he wanted me to do. I have a picture of him having won the Mutton Busting Championship. It'll be at my table. It's on my phone. He said, make sure you show it to at least one person. So again, Trey Traynor, only father of a Kerrville Mutton Busting champion running for Congress. I want to thank Helen and the GOP for doing this. Wes, thank you for your time for doing this. Thanks to the Republican women for doing this. Listen, we can all, again, we probably all agree on all of these issues. What's important here is leadership. The state of Texas is losing 10 congressmen who are either retiring or running for another office. California is not losing that many. Texas and California compete for every dollar up there because they're the two largest delegations that are up there. You need somebody who can walk in day one and is prepared to fight for you. I have been on Capitol Hill. I have testified in front of committees about First Amendment issues. I defended Donald Trump when Alvin Bragg attacked him and testified in front of the Judiciary Committee at the invitation of Congressman Roy. So at the end of the day, I am fully prepared to be that person for you. And it's not just me saying that. I'm the only candidate endorsed by Texas Right to Life. I'm the only candidate endorsed by Concerned Women for America, National Eagle Forum, the Bulverde Spring Branch Conservative Republicans, and people all over this district. Statewide elected officials, state elected officials, local county officials, because they all recognize that it's about leadership, it's about being able to get something done in Washington, D.C. for the people. Again, I believe fully in limited government. I'm always going to view things through the lens of whether or not the federal government should in fact be doing it or not. But once I've decided that the federal government is responsible for doing it, I will defend your liberties day and night. Trey Traynor.
Everyone, Mike Wheeler. So, why me? Well, we need lawyers, we need electricians, we need scientists, we need athletes. But folks, we are on track for a financial storm that's about to hit us. And did you know less than 5% of people in the House have financial market experience, but yet they control $38 trillion of debt? They pull the strings on our budget, and none of them know what they're doing, right? It's time we start sending more business people, more finance people to Washington. Pretty soon, interest is going to be the #1 item that we spend in this country. Pretty soon, 2 out of every $5 that you guys send into to the taxes are going to go just to interest. We better start dealing with this. I told you earlier on, that's what I did for a living. That's what I worked on, was the debt. But it's not just the debt. It is an affordability crisis. Our youth are turning to socialism because they can't afford a house, right? They're not having kids. I have solutions to all these problems. I'm going to stay here all night tonight if I have to answer them for you. Please stop by and talk to me. Social Security, next 5 or 10 years, 8 years, gone, right? How's it going to save it? Is a lawyer going to fix it? No. It's somebody that knows financial markets. It's somebody that knows financial solutions that's going to fix it, right? You need to start thinking about that on who you send to Washington, D.C. Our youth need hope. They're going to do that through economics. The #1 item when you pull people across the country is economics. Please, send somebody to Washington who actually knows something about it. Send somebody to Washington that can fix these problems. And I'll just finish by saying thanks. Wes, thanks so much. You did a great job. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stay here. I mean it. I'll stay here all night long to answer your questions and give you my solutions to these problems. Thank you. I'm Mike Wheeler, running for Congressional District 21.
All right, first I want to say thank you all candidates. Appreciate y'all are, so I've been down this road and the amount of energy and time and effort away from their family they're spending. I'm incredibly grateful that all of them stepped up for this. Kerr County Republican Party Chair Helen Hurd asked me to remind everyone that KerrCountyGOP.com will have a copy of this video if you want to go back and watch it later. And with that, thank you all for coming. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.